So just when the caterpillar thought that its world was ending, it turned into a butterfly. We are on a beautiful road of transformation too. That change is called Phygital. Welcome to the Phygital. Welcome to the future. Thank you, Mr. Taneja, our hero and messiah. Thank you, Images team, Vineet, Anjali, everyone. Partha, who has been working relentlessly day and night to put this event together. Respected members of the fraternity, my dear friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Phygital world. I'm going to start with the introductory round first and ask each one of our star panel here to talk about their recent brush with Phygital and talk about one initiative which they have taken and it has worked for them as a strategy and they intend to carry it forward in the future, and then we'll take it on from there. So let's start with the right wing and move to the left and hope that the country also does the same. Let's start with Sumit sir.
Yeah.
So let's start with an introduction of you and your company and one Phygital initiative which we have taken.
Hi, I'm Sumit Suneja. I represent a bestseller, Jack and Jones Bermuda Only Selected, and Indie Fusion. So we have always been a multi-channel player all these years, and we service our customers across the country, the length and breadth of the country. But the biggest initiative in the last 1.5 years, what we've done is launch our Omni business in full swing. So, which was the missing piece to become a true Phygital brand or a retailer. So, and we are seeing absolutely excellent results in the last, I mean, it's fairly new, but yes, obviously the lockdown and the COVID situation helped us to some extent, but yes, we are also seeing traction in spite of being now fully operational across the country. And we have put excellent, I mean, we are very hopeful that this will become a substantial part of our business going forward also.
Great. I think Phygital has been part of some strategies for some companies before the COVID, and now with the COVID, the setbacks that we had in COVID, I think, has further pushed the Phygital into the forefront. Sir.
I'm Darpan Kapoor. I represent a company called Capsons. We're based out of North, having 28 stores. During pandemic, we opened about 4 stores. So we have not reduced the size of the store, rather we have increased the size. And in regard to Phygital is concerned, we are good on Instagram. We have our contribution through the Instagram is growing every day. Plus we have launched a loyalty program. Any customer, all the discounts and all those things, in case he has the app on the mobile, he get benefited out of it. And app download has crossed 150,000 downloads are already there, and it's growing. So in regard to online sales, being an MBO, we still find it challenging because Amazon and Flipkart has much bigger eyeballs and much better discounts and technology. Beating them for an MBO, either you need to have a lot of capital or a complete team working on it, which I feel it doesn't make any economical sense. But still, we have a presence, and as the session will go, we'll disclose more about Capsons. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Shubhajit. I represent Bhumika Group. We are coming up with 2 malls in Rajasthan, one in Udaipur and one in Alwar, by the name of Urban Square. We are looking at a launch for the Udaipur mall sometime in first quarter next year, and the Alwar one in the second quarter next year. as we are in a developmental stage, we are doing a lot of experiments and understanding how the other national and the international malls are functioning in terms of being phygital. We are taking learnings. We are doing our own R&D also. And as sir said, during the course of discussion, we'll start speaking about it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ravinder. I take care of our center named Vegas in Delhi. And we were quite adaptive when we launched the center. When it comes to Phygital, we never knew the initiative that we have planned in the first set of infrastructure will really be used very extensively in the first phase of lockdown itself. So we will be discussing and touching upon all the initiative as a developer that we could have taken. Just to give you one of them, I would really like to appreciate the way DotPay has given us convenience of booking contactlessly in a restaurant, right from choosing from across menus to easy payouts, and then getting the intimations of your food being ready and easy for collections. So that is one that we feel that we were the first one to accept and roll it across the board. And other points wherein we have introduced Phygital, I will say the loyalty program, which we have done, which we'll be discussing later on when we speak about the consumer side of it, and contactless parking and a few more that we have done. So Phygitally, yes, and understanding the requirements of current retailers and going forward, and we feel we are in a very good space of adapting to the requirements of retailers of today, and we are even future ready for that. Thank you.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Karthikeyan Vishnu. I represent the brand Mr. DIY. We are a Malaysian headquartered home improvement retailer brand, and we entered India 2 years back. Today in India we have 42 stores, and globally we have 1,700 stores. Typically in terms of the category mix, we have 10 categories, right from the newness that we got to Indian market, that is a hardware, to car accessories to electrical. That's the newness that we have got into an organized retail in India. And well, over a coffee, as Vivek, my friend, was mentioning that, you know, his father has also shopped. So in terms of customer base, it's right from a 5-year to a 50-year who can come and shop at our store. So that's the experience that we give. In terms of phygital experience, I would say right now it's our first step. So what we use the online is more of creating an awareness about our brand, since it's ideally it's at an introductory stage in the market. So we are using the online space to create the awareness of our brand. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Vivek. I represent Raymond Apparel Limited. Represent brands like Park Avenue, Color Plus, Ethnics, Sparks, Raymond Ready to Wear, so on and so forth. Over last year and a half, really, a lot of new things have opened up. COVID pushed us, and like like it has happened for many other colleagues in the industry, we went omni-channel. We have created our own myraymond.com, which is a website that sells our set of brands. I'll speak more later in detail, but we have also not taken Omni just as our Omni platform, but we have also made our stores live 24/7 through third-party e-commerce like Myntra's of the world. So a lot of good has come out of COVID, and Phygital is really becoming a way of life for us, though the start was very difficult, very choppy. But interestingly, we are seeing things that we didn't imagine in past. So with that, I'll pass it on.
Hi everyone, I'm Siddhant Keshwani. We have a brand called Libas. So we are basically an ethnic wear e-commerce brand, and we've been in e-commerce since the past 6 to 7 years, and I think we're one of the only few brands who actually ventured into the offline space post-COVID. With multiple reasons behind doing that. We feel after COVID, people have actually realized the value of stepping out, because shopping in India is like an occasion. So this is the reason which led us to kind of expand into the offline space, because we feel that still 90% of the retail is happening from offline, right? So we had to expand our journey from online. We recently just opened 4 to 5 stores. We've now available across over 100 MBOs and about 70 to 80 large format stores as well.
Hi, my name is Ashish Gupta. I represent a finest boutique developer in Gurgaon, Elan Group. The future of Elan is we are coming up with 5-6 new projects in next 7 years. Now that we are a new developer, we are adapting to the new world, which is phygital, and we'll learn from the industry experts and then probably get all the best practices to get physically sound physical environment for our customers. Thank you.
This is Manik from Adidas India. I'll quickly come on to the point, which was the question. There's one major initiative that we took during the COVID times, and another initiative that we really pushed the pace. The initiative taken was that we signed something with Tata Click, and we have actually linked 50 of our stores with Tata Click, which gives the options to customers to shop or choose from that particular app. And at a very fast pace, that has already become a strong channel in itself, and it's growing. And we don't stop at 50 stores. The target is to link stores across the country. However, there's only one bottleneck which is there, because it still gets the products picked up from the store. It is the revenue is added in the store revenue. So you are paying to Tata Click. You are also giving your percentage share to the landlord. So in a way, there's a double hit in that. Having said that, the bigger picture is still bright. And the other initiative we've taken is we've linked our, we are growing as in franchise business as well as our company stores significantly now. All the company stores are linked to a particular software. So if you are in a particular store and you do not get a particular product there, in that store, through the iPad, you can actually go through the product availability across all the other stores. You cannot do that for all the 500 stores we have in the country, because one software is with one company, and a particular franchisee partner is going to have one database software. But at least it still gives you option to look across multiple stores for that particular product. So these two initiatives are going pretty strong right now.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Jamin.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamin Gupta. I'm representing VS by Sehwag, that is a sportswear and sports equipment brand. So we started with the offline business. We launched our first store. Eventually we had to go online. We launched our online vsshop.in 3 months back. And now we are planning to set up an omni-channel business model wherein all the stores and online, offline, everything is connected to each other. If the product is not available offline, it is available online. If not online, offline. So this is the initiative we are working on, and hopefully we will become an omni-channel brand.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Abhinav Ajmera, representing Omax Limited. We're a real estate developer across North India with projects in 28 cities across 7 states. We're big time into retail also, and not just the malls, but in high street retail as well. For this high street retail, we also have sales model. We are focusing more on sales as well. And there we're using now AI technology and digital marketing in a big way, which has really helped us to increase the customer interaction which we were having with the people. Physical, of course, is always there. People want to come and visit the sites. But before that, we're providing them all the information to the customers through digital media now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vimal. I'm representing Smoor Chocolates, which is a premium chocolate brand, probably the #1 premium chocolate brand, homegrown brand in India. We are a Bangalore-based brand which is expanding rapidly. Currently, we have about 24 outlets. We anticipate we'll get to 50 by the end of financial year. 2 or 3 things that worked in our favor during this COVID time was chocolate became a sensation in terms of snacking. And so we had to quickly get our offline stores into online platform. So what we did was having our assets, we had the ability to sweat our assets much faster, much better by by onboarding our own smooth.in with the marketplace. And not only that, with using the packaging, interaction, scanning, and retention using the contextless billing, we were able to capture the customer database much faster. So that helped us to grow about 10x.
Thanks, Mohammed.
Thank you.
So Phygital is here to stay. In this discussion, we'll sort out any confusion about Phygital marketing and unpack some of its potential, as well as talk about some focus required on existing market, acquisition of new customers, and how brands can scale up to a national operations through Phygital initiatives. The case of Phygital is clear. We are becoming increasingly reliant on digital technology. We are simultaneously craving physical experiences. For example, hardbound books have not been made obsolete because of ebooks, which is now in circulation extensively. Instead, both of them offer the consumers some value. Connecting these consumers is the core of the Phygital movement. So retail business have been particularly keen to jump on this Phygital bandwagon. So designing physical and Phygital experiences have been able to breathe some life into otherwise struggling sector of retail against the challenges with the e-commerce brands and giants which are now into play. In order to entice the customers to visit the physical store, the store must offer an extraordinary experience. So let's spend a little time understanding what customer experience means to various categories of operators within retail and how it can be enhanced. Before that, I'll just throw you some figures and some facts. An online study says that 63% of shopping actually begins online. However, 49% still prefer shopping in a physical store, and these are current data. This data shows that the stores have a lot to gain from the Phygital experience and the marketing. We've also come to learn that e-commerce is not necessarily killing the brick and mortar. We have to basically combine both these efforts. So let's start with Sumit Saab. Can you discuss a few things about how focused Bestseller has been in terms of customer engagement and experience, and what initiatives are you basically taking in terms of creating a unique shopping experience for all your customers who are walking into your store?
So, Bestseller has always been a customer-focused organization in terms of that whatever we've done, we've put customer on the forefront, and right from online, from our stores, whether it's our stores or it's our online presence, Artna Online or our own online, we've ensured that we talk the same language, and which is why we've been fairly successful in whatever we've done so far.
I think one thing that Bestseller has been able to achieve is that whenever you walk into any Bestseller store, I mean the fixtures and the quality of fixtures and the representation, I think most brands have been able to achieve it, but I think Bestseller is doing it slightly better in terms of the look and feel of the stores remain constant between high street and even the fragrance that you're using internally, the racks that you're using. Are you changing the module? How frequently are you changing the module, and is it also driven by customer experience?
So, in terms, when you talk about interiors or the ambience of the store, it only changes when a new concept comes in.
And how frequent is that, if I may ask?
I think the life cycle of a concept store is about 4 to 5 years. Sometimes it's longer as well. But please understand that you can't change the store completely every 5-6 years. A huge amount of capex involved. Yet we have been very, very proactive, and we've gone ahead and done renovations or frequently in terms of wherever we feel that the traffic is high and our stores look dated. So we've been very conscious of the fact. Having said that, even if you walk in my 10-year-old store, you will not feel that it's really a dated store, because we continuously upgrade the store very frequently, or at least finish the store. And whether it's a metro city or a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 city, our stores will look the same across the country. I mean, I don't have a different model for a tier 3 city or a tier 1 city. We probably do the same kind of investments in those in smaller cities as well. So that's what I said, that we speak the same language, whether it's in Bombay or it's in Siliguri or it's online and offline, which is very important for a customer to engage, keep on engaging continuously in terms of the confidence levels they have in the brand.
Okay, so I'm going to pass on that question to Darpan sir. How seriously do you view customer experience and engagement, and over the years, what change have you seen which has been forced or probably been imbibed by all the brands in terms of enhancing customer experience, and what is the focus right now in terms of the customer experience? How relevant it is at this point of time in physical content?
Yeah, like when we started the store, we were using the simple tube lights. Now we're using the LEDs, and enough of the money spent on the look and feel of the store. मतलब पहले तो स्टोर के अगर कोई बनता था तो people used to write कि air conditioned showroom. So now it's expected that all the showrooms which are there, they are fully air conditioned. The experience is good. So having said that, in regard to a better experience for the customer, whether it is the sound, which has to be of very clear this thing, the music what you play, from cash counter to the trial room to other parts of the landing areas. What I feel that brand, like we are a large format store, the shop is generally, they're already taken care of. All our showrooms has the modern fixtures and probably latest fixtures. We force all the brands to change their fixtures within 3 to 4 years. We don't carry them more than 5 years. And all the new format fixtures are already there. And one more thing we have done, we have changed our trial rooms and made them Instagram trial rooms. So 3 stores, which are Karnal, Panipat and Dehradun, which has recently opened. So trial room, there are 4 trial rooms. Once you come out of the trial room, there's a different wallpaper, there's a dummy bar, there's a dummy music counter, there's a dummy this thing. So you click your pictures out there and post it on Instagram page and all those things. I'm happy to share this thing that our stores, when they are opening, a proper discipline is maintained. 2 days before the store or 3 days before the stores, no invert happens. So if you're opening a store on 20th, by 15th or 16th or maximum by 17th, the brand has to set in their fixtures, the brand has to set in their inventory, the store. It doesn't happen like this, that when the store is opening, the day one, you have the vacuum cleaners, you have the boxes, you have this thing. Rather, 2 days are given to the Instagrammers. They are given a free hand and they are inside the store without a customer for 2 days to click their pictures, to post them. This is how we do our marketing, and we have cut down our expenditure in print media. Rather, we invest in the Instagrammers, which is now not very easy. They are not cheap guys, like they are expensive. So the more the followers, and I was surprised, like I don't look after this myself, my son looks after it. When we went to Dehradun, few of the Instagrammers, they said, you talk to our agent. This guy is not even 18, 19 years old. He's telling us to talk to his or her agent and then come to them. So this is how it is. All Instagram, if you like it, is run by the general customers, general public or Instagrammers. So at the back end, of course, we have the people who do the audit, which posts to go, which posts do not go. We have a complete program on that. So it's a lovely experience. Things are evolving from retail stores, like we started in '89, and today we have, in 2021, having 28 stores. I've seen the retail changing from tube lights to LEDs.
What a journey it's been for you, sir. It's really inspiring. I'm going to jump to Siddhant now. Siddhant, you started the Libas online, and you must have had a strategy for marketing if you're an online brand. And obviously, there are certain tools which are available to you, which you can put to use for an online brand. But now you're an offline brand too. So now you have to balance your act between your online, offline, and clearly Phygital will be a very important subject for you to monitor closely and strategize how you're going to market your store. So please tell us your journey, and please tell us how you view Phygital as a a combination of how you're online and offline and how you're merging it. What kind of strategies should be in place for you?
So for us, the journey is very different from as compared to our other retailer friends here, because we've actually moved from online to offline. So of course our expertise is very different. We come from a very digital background, right? And we are trying to use similar practices for our stores as well. And so far, even though it's early days for us, because it's just been 4 to 5 months since we started our offline journey, but the overall, I mean, the strategies have been effective. We've used a lot of digital ways in marketing our stores, whether it's geo-targeted ads, whether it's in-store influencer activities that take us back to Instagram, and even targeting those local influencers ads geographically. So those are the tools that have really helped for us. In fact, on the day of the launch, it was our first store. I remember this is 3 months back in Delhi. And we were also nervous as to how to pull the crowds in, because we've seen such successful launches from guys like H&M when there are queues outside, right? So it was a little bit of a challenge, but how it was a little safe for us was because, at least in our category, we are a known brand, and being in the e-commerce space for about 6 to 7 years, it was not that difficult. We did use, again, digital ways to bring that crowd in, and we had actually one of the most successful launches for a brand, at least in our category, given the fact that we had the right data. Being an e-commerce brand for 7 years, we have huge amount of data in terms of where our customer is and how to kind of pull them back to the store. So we had a list of data as to in the local data of that particular high street market where we opened our first store. And we did various forms of marketing, whether it's WhatsApps, whether it's SMS, whether it's Facebook and Instagram ads directed to their PIN codes and things like that. So those are the certain ways that have really helped us to kind of scale up our operations, and having a successful launch, it gave us the confidence that earlier when we had planned to open say 10 to 12 stores in a year, that plan has now been scaled up to about 50, because we got the right confidence and we have the right ingredients to make the store a success, because we have the right data to back it. Whether it's colors, whether it's trends, whether it's styles, whether it's necks, cuts, everything. So we have all that data bases the location, because we already have a pan-India reach, right? So those are the things that we're doing to kind of scale the operations up offline. And the idea of going offline was for the customer to have a completely seamless approach in terms of online to offline. Because there were cases, we've done a lot of surveys where customers said that even though we love the brand Libas, but we do end up going out to high streets or malls to shop for ethnic wear, because ethnic wear is also a lot occasion-based buying, right? And like I said, when it's a Diwali, even though there are options available online, people are comfortable with the brand, but people still like to go out to malls, people still like to go out to high streets to eat or to buy jewelry or to buy anything. And there's a lot of impulse buying happening, right? So you don't want to miss out on that. So I think to create the right experience for the customer, and that's what we've been able to do by, for example, if you enter a store, in e-commerce, of course, we have a huge variety, right? So you can't compare that to an offline store where we have limited real estate. So we have iPads in store. We've created a complete digital experience where the customer can go through our complete catalog, have a customer care executive on WhatsApp at real time to choose any outfit that probably is not available in store but can be delivered to home from our warehouse, which is located pan-India. We have multiple warehouses across India. So that's been the journey from us, from moving from online to offline, and we will continue to follow the same journey.
So I have one question, but before I ask that question, I'm going to go down on the audience, and I'm going to take an opinion on what do general people think about whether it's easier for for an offline brand to enter into an online brand or an online brand to enter into an offline brand. So which is easier? Which is easier, for an online brand to enter into offline or an offline brand to enter into an online? Just say which one. What's your preference?
I think online brand getting into offline business, it's much easier because they know their target customer, they want to where to present in the mall or in the high street.
Okay, so there's one brand opinion. I think any developer here? Yeah, developer here.
I feel offline to online is far easier. That's what an example of Manik, what he said right now. And many brands are doing it. That's what we see across our platforms.
So developer opinion is other way around. So another, some opinion here.
See, it's a very balanced approach. Online retailers have all the data. They have a very good. No, it is. It is. They have all the data. They have all the mapping. They know what to do, what not to do, where to be, where not to be, who is their target audience, which floor.
Online to offline.
I think online to offline is.
Online to offline. Okay. So what do you think, Siddhant?
We feel that there is a myth in India for the past 10 years that the online and offline customer is different. So as time is moving forward, that myth is changing now. There are people who are shopping online and offline at the same time, right? Like I said, offline shopping is an experience, online shopping is a pastime. So I think that's how we categorize it. And what we've seen as a trend is that online to offline for us, we feel is a much easier journey because when we first go offline, open a store, we don't know who to target, right? So it's like it's an experiment. It can go wrong, but when you move from online to offline, you have the right data to back it. So it's not really an experiment. Of course, there is a need to acquire new customer. That's the whole idea of going omni-channel. But at the same time, we know that where does the customer base exist, and there will be similar people who will adapt to the brand equally as the other people who are already
Siddhant,
shopping online.
if I may ask you a direct question, that had you been an online, offline brand, entering into online things, it would have been tougher for you.
Yes, if you're offline to online, I would not say
so
tougher.
let's take an opinion from the other way around. Then let's go to Manik. Manik, what do you think?
I feel both the approaches have their own benefit. If you are an offline brand, I said both the approaches have their own benefit. They both have their own merits and they are both significant. If you are an offline brand,
you have to choose one side. What do you think is easier?
No. I'll tell you why. If you're an offline brand, you already have data of PIN codes and you know where your customer is. So you know where to open the store. Okay? Whereas if you are a store, and not every customer can reach your store because of distance or whatever reasons, by giving that experience in a particular store, you are increasing their aspirations. That encourages them to then go for your store and shop online. So both the situations have their own merit. Challenges are a part of our daily routine. You have challenge in crossing a road also, but you still do it with some logical assumptions.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
Diplomatic again, I would say. Okay, Karthik, please.
So that's the whole point, right? That but the issue is that to acquire that customer offline is much more expensive than acquiring that customer online. So it's easy for me to get a customer online and then know where that customer lives or where maximum my customers live and open a store there. So of course that's a personal feeling. Of course this feeling will evolve as we get greater experience in the offline space. But our stand still says that, you know.
सिद्धांत देखो ऐसा है कि आदमी की फितरत ये होती है कि मैं जो काम कर रहा हूँ वो सबसे मुश्किल काम है. But I'm glad that it's the other way around here. So offline is saying it's easier to go online, online is saying it's easier to go offline. So I think both sides is working. Let's hear what Karthik has to say.
Yeah, so for me, I would say that, it's important to build a ecosystem before you get into online. So for us, we are an offline player. And there is an experience of close to 10,000 SKUs when a customer walks into my stores, feels it, and then goes for the purchase. So globally, that's what we follow. We come to an X number of stores, okay, and then only we venture into online space. That's probably the e-commerce that I'm talking about. However, okay, I'll give you an example from my earlier organization. My customer, that was a fashion jewelry company. My customer acquisition cost was 900 rupees. The average selling price of the product was 300 rupees. So until and unless thrice the customer comes and shops to me, I'm not even breaking even. So, yes, just to hop onto the bandwagon of being in the online space, you're going to eat up on the EBITDA. And that's not what we are here for, right? So it's very important to build a strong ecosystem, have that awareness, have that experience, and yes, then you can top it up with the online, and then you connect all the dots. That's my thoughts.
So Vivek,
I think, am I audible? Yeah. I think Sumit will agree. So, and he raised a very, very valid point about having an ecosystem. And the reason why you're hearing the other fact that, offline to online is easier, because, when you're sitting with an ecosystem, making the inventory work harder is far, far easier for you. One reality, one big pain in any form of retailing is dead inventory. You've got inventory which could be great and lying in wrong place, wrong city. And a great shirt could be lying in Siliguri in a large size which could sell in Trivandrum. And the ability to use the entire ecosystem and make an endless aisle. I mean, Omni operates practically on two planks, right? Endless aisle and save the sale. So if you don't have something, you're able to sell. And I'm going to share something very interesting, anecdotal with you. And this was a surprise to me about 2 weeks back. That if you have a situation where the size is not there, which in fact you also mentioned earlier, customer is able to buy. The most amazing thing that I figured about 2 weeks back, and in very, very high value garments like sherwanis, etc., in ethnic stores, we could sell sherwanis on our omni-channel platform, and which was something which was a surprise, because I couldn't imagine a 30,000 rupee piece getting sold on a platform without even physically being tried by the consumer. So I think the ecosystem is what helps you. In case of online to offline, you have a lot of consumer data that's there, and obviously it will help you pinpoint the geographies far more efficiently. In case of an offline to online, if you have the ecosystem, then it's an easier journey. But if you're sitting with a smaller ecosystem, I would go with him, saying that online to offline is better, because you can pinpoint the geography where you want to go and open the store, and chances of that being successful is higher because you have stickiness there. But I think ecosystem is the key. It's a classic case. There was many years back, there was a question that was asked in Harvard, which was whether a phone company will survive or a computer company will survive. If there was going to be an Apple or a Nokia, one of the two is going to survive. And there were two sides of the debate, and reality is for all of us to see. And the reality was not about a computer company succeeding over a phone company. The reality was about a company that could build ecosystem. So I think all of us have the responsibility today to build that ecosystem. We were able to get the ecosystem right. It doesn't matter where you started. Success is going to be yours. I mean, you told me right now, 63% of the people check online. Out of that, 49% buy in a store. So consumption is still for experience, at least in the categories that we operate in. And that's really the crux of this entire point.
Okay, I'm going to digress a little and come to Manik and Jamin. Jamin, I'm going to start with you. So in the last 1.5 years, I think athleisure has grown leaps and bounds, and it has led to a format change as well. Meaning all the athleisure brands now that I speak with, and they've been speaking in the market, they're looking at a larger store. They're looking at a fairly larger store. I think they're doubling, tripling their optimal size, which they were operating with a couple of years back. So in these times when athleisure has been showing very promising results, which is of course resulting in larger stores, you're an online brand, you're setting into an offline brand. What strategies are you trying to put in place? What are your checkpoints? And how are you collaborating your physical and your digital into a phygital strategy?
So basically in VS we are targeting the mid economy range. जो customers है वो mid economy range के, mostly into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. वहाँ पे consumer जब तक product को feel नहीं करता, he is not ready to buy online. एक बार feel करेगा, उसको सही लगेगा, फिर शायद वो second time online जाए. But first time तो वो online कभी नहीं जाएगा. So we need a physical presence to cover up the tier 2, tier 3 city consumers. So we would obviously expand on the offline side, And online will eventually grow on the metro cities and tier 1 cities. But tier 2, tier 3 के लिए we will be looking at not larger stores, 700, 800 square feet of stores, जो compatible है, considering our SKU range. Athleisure wear brands are not going into large format stores. The large format stores में जो brands जा रहे हैं, उनका major 50% about sale is into footwear. So जिनके पास footwear major category है, they are going into larger format stores. But the purely athleisure wear brands जो सिर्फ wear पे focus करते हैं, they are not going into large format. They are focused into below 1,000 square feet stores only. So our focus will be also the same. And for tier 2, tier 3, physical stores will obviously be required. मतलब वहाँ पे वो presence create करनी ही है brand को. तभी consumers acquire होंगे. After a time of 3 to 4 years, when you have a good customer base, you can convert that customer to online. But eventually, initially, offline stores पे ही focus रहेगा. And online will even grow in the tier 1 and metro cities, this kind of cities.
So any particular reason why you've chosen tier 2, tier 3 cities to begin with as your offline stores? Will you get the same kind of response or some kind of data that you had beforehand that led you to take a call to get into tier 2 cities first?
India has more than 50% of unorganized market currently in the apparel sector. जहाँ पे multi-brand outlets local level पे deal करते हैं, they buy from the domestic wholesalers and sell to the consumers. That the whole space is looking for a brand जो एक value bet product दे. Tier 2, tier 3 city के consumers look for a value bet product. अगर 600 का आपको उनको track pant दे रहे हो, it should look worthy. कि हाँ ये 600 का है, you cannot overvalue it. वहाँ पे tier 2, tier 3 का consumer नहीं पैसा देता. तो जो वो space है, उसकी opportunity को देख के हमने VS brand वो space में launch किया. There's a huge space in that brand.
तो अभी आपका जो pricing strategy है, is it the same for both your online, offline? Are you going to maintain price parity?
No. The pricing is same, offline,
price
online, everything same.
Price parity is the same. Okay, Manik, your view on this, yeah. First thing, I think digressing from Phygital, but a question that I think everybody would want to know is, ऐसा क्या हुआ कि सब 10,000 मांग रहे हैं अब?
So you have given the answer yourself. You know, last 1 year, we all have been doing our jobs, staying online. Things did not stop. Everything happened. Our meetings have happened. We all have done leasing, whether it's small or brands. But the very first opportunity, and this conference could have happened online if it was for convenience. But we are animals who need that physical experience. So online, for us, as much as we understand, is a matter of convenience, and it has a certain customer, and it actually helps you increase the customer base, which is what we are experiencing as well. And it increases their aspirations. Physical retail is all about experience. You can just continue running the same brick and mortar stores that you're doing, or you can add value in every store that we create. And that's what we had been working upon, and the results that we have seen, the trends we have seen post the lockdown is more encouraging. So we have fastened the pace, the strategy was in place already, and we have also reworked upon what is the logic. Do you need to have 10,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet? Is it because maybe competition is opening a similar size, or is it to do with the appetite of the market, or is it to do with the size of that mall and multiple factors? So we are continuing to grow, and we are opening stores of 10,000 square feet as well as opening stores of 2,000 square feet. It depends upon the city. It depends upon the size of the mall. Is it a neighborhood mall? Is it a destination mall? How many malls or other high street trade zone are in the catchment? One also needs to see that, you know, yesterday there was a debate about repeat customer in a mall as well as a high street. You know, as much as we understand, a high street is a place where you get customer for a straightforward transaction. He's only there to visit your store. In a mall, the customer that we bring is probably 30% of our total customer. More than 70-60% is the customer that we get from the mall, which is probably because of the mall or because he's visiting the other brands. And all these customers are equally important. And that is the reason. So the size along with experience is very important. Digital for us is the medium to excite the customer. You know, for example, when we recently opened our flagship in CP, we did not have any celebrity visiting physically, but we had videos, personalized videos recorded by Ranveer Singh. We had video recorded by Mo Salah and many more global athletes which were playing in the stores on that particular day and for a few days. Similarly, we recently signed Deepika Padukone. On the day we announced that, we had that banners and physical screens running in malls and high streets across the country at the same time. That is digital being used as a medium to enhance experience in physical store. And that is again bringing the customer to the brick and mortar only.
So when you're combining all the artificial intelligence and phygital and everything into the store, and some years back we were talking about omni-channel, which was, we were anticipating Omni is going to come and we're going to look at Omni, and it had all set of ambiguity around Omni, of course, because nobody knew how it exactly is going to function. But in the same breath, we were also talking about that format sizes may get smaller because you're getting an omni-channel, you don't need all that physical spaces, even hypermarkets will come down, all the store sizes will get optimized at a much smaller size. But it's working the other way around. I mean, now which is now we're unfolding the cards and we're actually looking at larger stores. So in terms of your category mix, how much space are you allocating towards your footwear, your apparel, and are you creating some space for an experience?
It actually varies with...
And sorry, one more. Is it more challenging to create a better experience in a larger store or a smaller store?
It's more challenging to give any experience in a smaller store and do justice with the product range that we have. So what helps us is, and it's not challenging to actually create that experience because we all have the data. We know which store sells which category. For example, a store in CP, when we had 3 stores in CP, we had one store which was dominated by running as a category. The other store had football and basketball as a category. There's another store in Delhi which dominates in tennis as a category. And then there are certain categories which are constant. When you do a certain size, you also evaluate what is the category mix that you already have been selling in that particular store. So when you're designing bigger stores, all those data helps you. For example, we recently opened first company Adidas Originals on a Jalandhar high street. We were not even thinking on those lines till a year back. One, we will not open Originals in a tier 3 city, so-called. 2, how come a company store? So a year back, we had only 10 company stores out of total 550 stores across the country, whereas today we are already concluding at 26. In years to come, we'll have 100 company stores. And the reason we could do that Adidas Originals there is because the performance store is already doing a certain number and it has a very significant percentage of Adidas Originals transacting in that store, which means it has a ready customer. So utna minimum base we already have. And that is the data encouraging us to do justice in different places. And to our surprise in CP, the flagship store, the customers are already complaining that the options for Adidas Originals is not big enough. We need more space. So we are already on a lookout for another exclusive original store in CP.
I'm going to follow that up with Sumit Saab. Are you looking at any format size change after COVID?
Not really. We've always been, have had these discussions with all my developer friends that why do you want large stores? Because right from the time we entered this country, we always asked for large stores. And India always had the
happy with your
problem.
format size right now? No change expected in the near future?
So again, it depends on the market. It depends on the micro market. It's not that we are consciously looking for larger stores. Yes, we
it's
are.
not a strategy. Depending on the market and the opportunity, you will figure out.
We want to sign larger stores because there is demand. And the kind of experience and the kind of offering you can give in a larger store is certainly much more than a smaller store.
But on a case-to-case basis,
So,
not
yes,
like
case to case. It's not that it's like a mandate to go all out and change the 300 stores we have into 5,000 square foot stores or 2,000 square foot stores or 3,000 square foot stores, whatever the size. I mean, we're not doubling the sizes of the stores, but yes, case to case basis, wherever we think, I think the stores have reached a peak is where we would, and we are not able to grow those stores. We are certainly look at increasing the sizes. But Manik, that's a good problem to have, actually, in running out of space.
Okay, let's hear from Vimal now. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever you're in Bangalore, please do visit Smore. I happen to see some of the pictures, absolutely fantabulous. And I could just if I had a chance, I would just drop in right now. So, Bimal, in terms of your, as a startup, what strategies are you putting in place, and what kind of phygital strategy you think is going to work for a brand like you?
Yeah, from a retail to a chocolate, it's a very different ball game. A couple of things I just wanted to add. For us, product is the most important item. So a product like ours requires experience. If you're selling a bar of chocolate for 500 rupees, it's at a premium end. And so customers like to know what they're buying. There's a bit of a touch and feel. There's a bit of sampling required. So for us, the strategy is very clear that having the offline stores is very important. One thing we have noticed, even when we have gone onto the online platform, customers are not planning their purchases. They've taken it as a God-given right that I want it now, I have to get it now. So for us, the strategy of having offline stores around our demographics, which we cater for, where we are able to deliver much faster, is a very important piece. So when you combine that with having a brand presence of an offline and are able to sweat that asset out, is the number one priority. And I had, in terms of the mall, there are challenges. If you are having an omni-channel or you're having a marketplace, how do you get that product collected from a mall when you are paying a revenue share? Or do we look at a high street location, right, where customers can come and pick it up? You can use that store as a hub. So these are the challenges we are right now facing with the malls also. We have seen that during the COVID lockdown, where we were able to retain 95% of our revenue. But that 95% was online. So do you pay the online revenue share plus the marketplace commission? Is it a workable solution in investing in that? So these are the challenges we are facing right now. But definitely it's offline with an online for us is a better transformation journey.
Thank you, Vimal. I'm going to shift focus to my developer friends here. They've been twitching on the seat for half an hour now, listening to retailers. So let's start with Ravinder. Brick and mortar store is no longer a place where people go only to buy. There's a lot of experience that we're talking about. And a typical mall of a million square foot gets about 1.5 million footfall every month. Developers have this challenge of personalizing every customer, every guest walking in. And of course, Phygital is helping in that front, and it has already been the foreplay for the last 1.5 and 2 years, and some of the better malls of the country have been implementing Phygital for the last 2.5 years already. So what do you think has worked in the last 2.5 years, and how do you create an ideal mall? And then let's progress from the conversation from that side.
I'll start with the data that you have started the tone of the session with, that 65% odd offline sale starts online, and then it gets executed in a brick or mortar store. So our journey also starts tapping the customer via geotagging them, knowing your right TG customer over social media portals, possibly available via YouTube, Instagram, social, and Facebook, for example. And nowadays, Google is also helping us a lot while mapping my right TG. They're coming in from what sort of pin codes, so that we exactly know which are the pockets in my neighborhood are contributing to the larger and repetitive customers. So my first audience and my first communication goes to my primary ones, which I need to take care of them on a regular note. Then expanding my secondary horizon is the second challenge that we look at. And there again, we customize the plans. Usage of Phygital, online and offline both ways, it starts from making sure the convenience of the customer while accessing the mall is very easy. And to do that, we have done contactless parking and payouts both. So there is no human intervention required. You straight away drive into our basements, take this photograph of the scan code, park yourself, and while making an exit, again, use either of the UPI mediums and pay out and take a easy checkout. So that gives you a sense of relief, especially after these 2 lockdowns that people have seen. And now, thanks to the recovery that we have seen, that now they are opening up, going back to the ticketed things. Otherwise, now also we have kept both the options open. So the choice is yours. You want to take the physical ticket, you can take physical ticket. You want to use the QR code, you can take the QR code. Coming back to the larger issue of managing crowd on the floor when it comes to your peak hours. So the first thing was to manage food court management, and that we have done successfully with DotPay management. So all our food court tables, which are roughly accounting for close to about 300 tables at the food court, have been installed with a QR scanner on the table itself. And you go station yourself. Finding a table today at a good food court on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday is very tough. And especially in neighborhood centers, which has a larger capacity audience and which are all stepping out on the weekend front. So there, DotPay has really accounted for close to about 64% of my total billing that happens without any manual intervention. And you have to leave your table only to go and pick it up, your order, and then come back to the seat. So moving forward, because as we are into an infra development space, the journey going forward will be mainly, again, falling back to the application which my fellow developers have already done. And we are now requesting all our retailers who are on board with us to give the gift vouchers via digital mode so that they could be redeemed instantly through the application itself. So we would like to curtail down the human intervention there also. And that is the reason why when we keep a track on the ADSR front, that allows us to do a real-time tracking and the shopping behavior pattern analysis of the customer who walks into the store. So for example, I would be exactly knowing my customer, that how frequently he is visiting my mall and what is the kind of shopping practices he follow. And once we develop that kind of database that we are targeting, we will be reaching out to that number close to about Q2 next year probably. Then the analysis and push mechanism of offers will start happening in. So because we are in the same space of infra development, I won't take all the points away because otherwise things won't be much left over. So
Shubhajit, what's your opinion on this? I have a specific question for you, in fact. You know, a research says that customer emphasizing that quality and price remains the most important factors when buying a product. At the same time, convenience seems to stand between them and making a purchase. Whooping 97% of the consumers have not completed a purchase online because it is inconvenient, not completed a sale offline because it is inconvenient. So what do you reckon the developers in these times should be doing to enhance the experience or reduce that inconvenience in this digital world for a mall?
I don't know how much as a developer or a mall management I would have control over pricing and products of my retail partners.
Developers have no say on the pricing anyway, so we'll have to emphasize on how convenient we can make
on the
for the
experience
customers.
portion, absolutely. So I'll tell you what we are doing. We are trying to develop an augmented reality lab at this moment. We are in almost closing of the project. This augmented reality app, it allows you, once you enter the mall, you point your scanner to the position mentioned, and you have an icon coming up which guides you through the mall. It talks about how many stores are there on the floor. It navigates you, and it talks about all the offers, discounts of the day, or whatever is happening, for that portion of the day. And that is how I have a little control over the customer. I understand where he is going through that app, what are the products he's buying, making him feel more seamless inside the mall. He is not dependent upon going to the customer relationship desk. He is not dependent upon looking at the signage, where are the toilets. So everything that comes on this augmented reality app, it guides him right from parking to the entrance of the mall, to the exit, to the shopping experience, and even we are trying to integrate it with the food court. We're trying to integrate with, suppose he is choosing a burger, it will tell him the size of the burger and how much is the waiting time and things like that. So we are in a stage of development in that. So I hope it will be a big value add in the experience of the customers.
Abhinav, your views on this?
So, in terms of the technology, whatever Subhajit and Ravindra have mentioned, it's the same kind of technology which we are also trying to use. But what I've seen is like in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, it is still more of physical. People are still more happy and they use this convenience of paying by cash and having the personalized services. So if it is talking about like contactless parking or ordering online in the food court, they still prefer to go to the counter, understand, and then try and order. So it's slowly developing there, but yes, it is helping us to understand the specific requirements of the customer to give them more and a better experience. And I think it will take a bit of a time, but yes, digital is really, really helping us. So it has to be inbuilt, physical and digital both have to be there together to give them a better experience.
Ashish, your views?
Till the time there's a need of socializing, I don't think offline is something which we all agree that it's all about experience. The experience can be given in a manners which almost all my panelists have already explained. Could be apps. We have to shift from physical real estate to a cyber real estate through app. Is it too much to ask from that app? Is the question. I mean, rewarding the customers, pedometers can be anything, can be integrated in that app. So I think offline is something which is here to stay. Along, we have to digitize ourselves.
Let me give you interject and give you a little insight. For millennials and younger consumers, the difference between physical and digital retail platform does not exist. And that's a fact. So that's why a phygital strategy goes a step further than omni-channel. It goes a step further than omni-channel marketing approach and completely connects and melds the online and offline world. So phygital is something which is of course going to stay. So I remember when at Mall of India when we were taking our initiative for phygital, we actually beaconed the entire mall. So the entire mall was beaconed with a span of 2 meters, each beacon. So we could actually, we could figure out the number of guests walking in. We could whitelist the staff and the employees, and we could attach a special ID for each customers walking in. So you just have to carry a smartphone or you're on the app which a mall is using. So ultimately what happens is that when you walk into the mall, you are actually given an ID. It's not like your name or age or any other. It's just an ID which is attached to you. And it tracks your journey through the mall. So if you've been to 7 stores in one visit and you come back after say 3 months or 4 months, the phygital systems and processes will identify the software will identify your presence with your face recognition or through your smartphone which you're carrying. And it will map your journey again. And based on, and it's a self-learning program. So every time you visit the stores you go, the number of stores you're going, so with your ID, it will be able to track what kind of a promotion activity can be personalized and boosted for a particular ID. It's just an ID. I mean, there's no name attached to it, there's no age attached to it, there's no sex attached to it. So this is the phygital. I think that's what it started, and the developers are getting data real time in terms of what exactly has been the footfall, which marketing campaign has got the best results in terms of how many customers walk-in has improved, how many customers have actually walked past your store. Those data is also readily available now with some of the best performing malls. It's not just Mall of India. I think many others, Select, I think Phoenix, I think many other, Pacific, I think all of them are already at some stage of implementing phygital, and some of them have graduated to the next level. They will be looking at probably higher, softwares and other phygital programs which can be implemented. So it's going way beyond. So like one app which you can download, and I think Pathfinder is doing it. You can just download one app, and that's enough for you to not have separate apps for, and that app will integrate all the malls. So you can book your parking, you'll have your space where you're parking, you can already pre-book, and it'll guide you to your car, it'll tell you which promotion campaigns are operating. I think they also have an interesting program in which what happens is that if you're getting married, you get a special discount for that week. And even your relatives are thrown with discounts for that particular period. So if somebody's getting married and the relatives are also shopping in that mall, they also get those promotional offers for a particular period of time. So I think we are moving faster than we think we are. We are moving quite fast. Ravindra, again coming back to you. In terms of if we have to plan a mall now at this stage, do you think we will have to plan things differently? Too tough question.
I think I will be able to better answer this in the shopping center forum. I'll tell you the reason why. Because last 6 weeks have really surprised all of us. So last 18 months have been tough for each one of us, surviving through holding hands and then coming through all hale and hearty. And 6 weeks have shown very good sign of consumption and improvements both ways. So if I have to answer this thing that we need to plan the malls, how different it will be the approach, I feel I'll still stick to what we have done 2 years back. I will keep limited exposure to footwear, fashion apparel categories and beauty. I will have specialized zones for entertainment, food, and I will try and create more community spaces around. Like we have recently done, we have launched the first Laugh Club of the country, so which was a temp model and a pop-up store initiated by Mall of India, which went off a little bit, and now, yes, congratulations to you and your thought. So now we have finally, we have got them on our dining level, which brings very, very different TG to you over all the 30 days. So it is no more a weekend affair. It is like cinema. So all 7 days you have somebody or the other stand-up comedian who is performing. And everyone has their own defined fan base. So every time you have new people coming in from all geographies of your neighborhood catchment, secondary and tertiary catchment. So I would love to have more spaces around given to somebody like a kid zone, in which I will have zones taken care of both teenager and the younger lots and the toddler ones. I will have more focus on the food court with better sitting layouts and a right offering of F&B. When I say this in the context of metro cities, because tier 2 might behave a little different when it comes to F&B, because their liking towards high street is still much more convenient than visiting a center. I would also like to have 1 or 2 night restaurants or night clubs for that matter, because in Delhi, NCR especially, people feel more safe going to an organized setup for their ingress and egress rather than going to a standalone property in any of the places around. So I'll still stick to 130, 140 vanilla with 50 plus food, right size of cinema. Cinema is where we all are thinking on. So my personal feel, I don't see cinemas of 10 screen, 12 screens coming anytime sooner. We might have to go back to 6 screens, 7 screens model. And then also we'll see that how we take it up forward from there.
Okay, we have 7 minutes before we go to the audience for some questions. So conversation, controversy में end करने में मजा आता है. तो let's do some controversies. तो पहला कल भी झगड़ा हुआ था इस पे. Manik, for you, question. How much data should be shared between the retailers? Now we're getting into phygital. We talked about beacon.
Why me?
We're talking about just asking you.
Why me?
You have all the database with
you. Can pass the question.
सारा डेटा हमसे भी ले लो और अपना भी सारा डेटा दे दो. Deal done.
Done? नहीं मतलब वही पूछ रहा हूँ. How does it work? Now we're getting into.
See, to be very honest, this conversation came up yesterday, and
no. Let me rephrase the question. Let me rephrase the question. Question is that when we're looking at Phygital, and we just spoke about, the malls are also taking Phygital activities very seriously, and they're implementing and pumping a lot of money, energy, effort into beaconing and all these data which is generating, how many people are passing through your stores, what is the journey of the people through the mall. All this data is all being collected. And I think similar data must be being collected at the store level, at the branch level, and there'll be your customer database as well. You'll be geo-targeting them, and you'll obviously be using your Insta and your social and all that. How do you integrate them to become a superpower?
I think before yesterday's
And why the reluctance to
conversation?
Is there a reluctance in the first place?
I don't know yet, because before yesterday's conversation, nobody has approached me particularly. I've never had this conversation with anyone that we need data from you. I'm very happy to do it. And we have done that in certain cases. We have done that with your malls in the past. We have done that because when we are promoting a store, we are happy. My data is only a small part of your bigger data. So, if I get access to yours, or through you I can send messages to those people or reach out, it's a great thing to do. So, as I said, I don't see a reservation in that yet.
No, ठीक है, वो मतलब करना चाहिए, क्या frequency होनी चाहिए, ये पूछ रहा हूँ.
Exactly. And when we collect data, so at the moment when we go for transaction in any stores across the world, at the billing counter, the person asks for the mobile number and certain details. And mobile number is mostly a constant in every case. I think we should probably upgrade that to a level and ask the customer, are you willing to give your data to the mall for promotions? I don't see any harm. If my employee makes that effort of explaining the customer, how is it going to benefit, and if he will not be bombarded by SMSs unnecessarily, even we do that. I think there's a way out to do this. There is absolutely a way out.
Correct. I think method to the chaos would be, I think, a better way to handle it.
I have a suggestion, or rather a request to developers. When you asked what do you want to do, what's new you want to do when you're designing a mall. And this will be interesting. I don't know how easy or difficult, because there's nothing easy or difficult. When you design a mall, it'll be interesting if we enhance the space for digital screens in the mall. At the moment, there are spaces which are allotted for that, and they are mostly outsourced, and every developer has a right to do that. You are investing a lot of money in making the mall. But it'll be very interesting if they are designed in a manner that it kind of connects different zones of the mall together. And while you are leasing out to an aggregator, there should be certain time slots which could be marked when you are running activities or videos of different brands across the mall, so that you have that kind of impact on the customer who's moving around the mall. It doesn't mean that it should be FOC all the time. It is just from the experience sake. Commercials can be discussed alternatively, but it's just to enhance that experience, because the kind of wow impact we see in our stores by adding more digital, which is adding to a lot of cost. But then there's a positive side to it.
Completely, can't agree more. Absolutely. Darpan sir, before we end, a word of advice from you to all the budding retailers, regional retailers, what kind of strategy they should be looking at. A word of advice from you, please, sir.
The only advice is believe in yourself. If you know retail properly, don't get distracted by physical or data and all those things. If you know how to sell your customer, you understand it, please keep doing it. There's enough of customers in India who are interested in offline, and there are also enough of customers or youth who are interested in online. I would also like to say this, that it's incorrect to say that B and C town are not looking for a premium products. We are selling Tommy Hilfiger in Sangrur also, as well as we are selling it in Dharamshala also, and smaller town also. There is a customer in Fagwada also, which are B or C towns. So there are customers across everywhere. You should know how to sell it. Your concept should be correct. You should understand your customers. There's nothing like this that retail was simple. Let it remain simple. It's excellent business. It's a superb business to be in. That's what I have.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to open the house for some questions. If you have any, please raise your hand. I guess there will be no hands. Oh, sir. Please, mic.
Sorry, Rayan, I think it might help if in all of this, talking about the data collection, talking about the big data that's being gathered, whether it's by Adidas or whether it's by the mall partners, What about concerns of privacy? Are these GDPR compliant? Are they compliant with the privacy laws that we're seeing increasingly enter most countries?
Thank you for the question, sir. I was trying to avoid this spice, but but now we have it on the floor. So
Listen,
anyone from the panel, please.
I've spent 2 days up on that stage. I might as well give you a hard time now.
No, I was deliberately avoiding the spice, but now you have put it on. Let's take the question on, please. Anyone from the panel, please. Can the data be, okay, let me put some ideas on the tables. Can it be encrypted in a way that it can't be given to your competitor, which may be a concern, like just for an example, Adidas not going into Nike, Nike not going into Adidas, those data, can it be shared or what kind of method can be used? Maybe some software, maybe encryption, maybe NDA documents. I don't know how much that will work. Anyone, please.
I don't know, we haven't really explored that, but I'm sure it is worth exploring. So it's actually a great idea to work about it, but yeah, not really, can't be sure. But that's the reason I said that, if we ask the right questions to the customer, if he's willing to share his data, only then do we share the data, and there's no harm in doing it. But what he asked actually simplifies the whole task.
So like I said, we have just started our loyalty program by the name of Vegas Privé. In last 90 days, we have got close to about 38,000 registrations at the desk. And before taking the number, so we used to get the NDA signed, wherein there's a TNC and then we say that we will be sending you SMS and everything else. But coming back to the question, so there are few agencies who have started working on the privacy content, wherein there are certain compliances which are already laid back by the government of India, wherein what all could be floated out, what all information could be extracted out of that number, and how we can map it off. So we are in the first phase of filling that nominations, reaching out to all our customers, getting the NDAs signed in this prescribed format. And I think there is a lot more of room space available because people have information. They are not able to utilize it in the form of data. Everybody gets a lot of spam SMS on a daily note. किसी को नहीं पता किसके नंबर कहाँ गए हुए हैं, किसने कहाँ डेटा दिया हुआ है. So privacy policies इंडिया में आते बहुत टाइम लगेगा, लेकिन there are certain agencies who have just stepped in, who have started working on these lines, and I feel in another couple of months or couple of years more, you will see more agencies working on the privacy line, which is now becoming a more concern to the millennials that मेरा नंबर तो मिल गया तेरे को, लेकिन तुम क्या करने वाले उस नंबर के साथ. So they are more aware, they are more concerned. So there's a big avenue happening out there also. So I think another couple of months more, we'll be having more clarity as and when we will be filing more forms and compliances.
Okay, anyone would like to add to it? Yes, Vivek, please.
I think his point was about the privacy of the consumer. Now, in today's date, you have enough and more social analytics that's available that I don't need to breach the line necessarily. If I'm able to create cohorts with consumers who have given consent to share information like he said, it's very easy for me to find lookalikes and really turn it into a much larger base. So, and there you're not breaching the privacy line. So I completely get it that, it's a matter of time that the privacy laws will get strict. We will have to comply, and we must. I mean, while we are all representing various businesses, we are also individuals. We would like privacy to be protected and respected. But I think there are ways to really be able to sharply target. We can expand base. There are tools available that can help you create cohorts and lookalikes and really create larger base to communicate with content that's going to be relevant. So I think these two things are happening parallelly, and probably it will culminate in a solution at a point in time when we'll all be able to look back and say that privacy ka discussion ek din tha, lekin we have a solution. So a developer could track footfalls and create cohorts, and basis that cohort really create a lookalike in their geography of interest and really reach out to consumers. So I think it's not really about a brand's data and a retailer's data. It is about being able to use the data to make good use for your own footfalls.
Agree, Vivek. I think pandemic has taught us one important thing, which is collaboration. I think going forward also, I think collaboration will be the key word, and everyone would have to collaborate, and I'm sure with time we'll figure out something which works for both the parties without hurting anybody's privacy or taking away data or share. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a patient audience. Thank you very much. And I will.
Riyan, I would like to just have one last. So
please, please.
Yeah. So it's all about, you know, when you enter into the digital space, using it right. See, it's rightly said that if you don't brand yourself well, Google will. I'll repeat that. If you don't brand yourself well, Google will. Right? So it's very important in terms of how you share your information. We are in the space of awareness right now since we are into the introductory stage. So we are very clear about what kind of information we are giving out there on the social media. Thank you so much.
Darpan sir, I wanted to ask this question to you. You made a very interesting statement. Retail was simple and it is simple, let it be simple. I want to ask you a question. Do you think all of us are overthinking about technology, digital screens, omni, data? Are we overthinking, or is it really going to help this simple business deliver some complex, complicated solutions, or it's not required?
See, what I feel that we are overthinking about it, reason being, I am an MBO. So moment I start doing cataloging and imaging and all those things, I have a stock out. So me going on online in an efficient manner will never happen. You know, the season is small, the next season comes in. I've tried 2-3 times, maybe multiple times, but then and online is majorly a minor season business. 80% or 90% is a minor season business, where the discount plays a major role. So if you are a pure retailer who wants to sell fashion, latest fashion through the stores, focus should be on your inventory and your customer this thing. Of course, the data, see, if you just say that I want to open a store and make it online store, if you are a single brand, if bestseller is there, or Adidas or Reebok is there, they're excellent example, because they have end-to-end control on their data, on their description. The moment the designer makes a product, he knows whether it is a shirt, one single pocket, or a collar, or something like this. So their data can travel online much faster than a retailer who doesn't have a source of the data. So it's better if you are a retailer, you are an offline retailer. Your focus should be, of course, the Instagram, or if you are not on Google and your store, somebody search a fashion store in Sector 17, if you are not coming in there, this is wrong. You have to travel with the time. You know, you should be available on your search engine on Google, the store location, the map, or the store manager name and the phone number, and what time the store is open, what time the store is closing. All those things should be there. If you're not on Instagram, of course, that's not a great thing, because Instagram is a great thing. First it was Facebook, now it is there. Tomorrow something else will come in. Frequent messaging to the customer is a big no. Once a week is good enough. 5 times a day is big no. There are many things wherein you can do with the SMS. You can send a bit link, giving a promotion, promotion of this brand and all those things. So there are many a way which you have to balance it between online and offline. Somebody like Amazon, if it's Amazon today, is not because of seeing someone. That was an original concept, original this thing. This is how they made it, and they knew what was their base and what is their target. So this is how it is. It's a lengthy discussion. I think we are running short of time. But yes, balancing is important.
So with that, and for being a patient audience, I'm going to leave you with a thought on Phygital. Phygital is governed by 3 I's: immediacy, immersion, and interaction. So please go figure. Thank you for being a patient audience. Thank you very much.